Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have the incredible Alan Carroll. Alan is an education psychologist specializing in transpersonal psychology and created Alan Carroll and Associates. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest coming on to the show today, Alan Carroll. Alan is great when it comes to everything about communication, creating space, and one of the biggest fears, public speaking. So I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with him. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through MSP We're also on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android, Roku, and many more. And we're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Dreamweaver, Artist Ranch. So let's bring in our incredible guest, the incredible Alan Carroll. Alan, welcome to Brilliance Business TV. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be able to talk about mindfulness.
I'm really looking forward to talking about mindfulness, Alan, because we need more mindfulness in the world, especially after the last couple of years that we have had with the pandemic. Before we really dig deep into the subject of mindfulness, Alan, could you just share a little bit of your background and past that has led you into the work that you do today?
My background. I look at psychology, started back in the 1960s, doing yoga, reading yoga books, thinking that there must be something other than what I'm experiencing now. And so you read about mystical folks and you read about people who meditate. And so that started me on a journey. And the journey took me through psychology. From psychology, I ended up teaching public speaking classes for corporations. And then when I left the corporation, I started Alan Carroll & Associates back in 1993. And from 93 till today, we have been traveling around the world, training thousands of people from many corporations on how to transform their ability to speak using mindfulness tools.
And you mentioned meditation there. I meditate every morning when I wake up for normally 15 minutes minimum to 30 minutes. I try to do the 30 minutes. But when you meditate, you do think better, you act better. It really sets you up for a great day, doesn't it, Alan?
Absolutely. And the idea with meditation is that you have all these thoughts inside your head, and often the things get stirred up. And when you meditate, the thoughts begin to settle down, begin to relax a little bit more. And so you're more at ease in dealing with whatever situation you're facing during your outer life when you wake up and have to travel around the world.
It creates stillness. Do you like what I've done there? with
Yep.
this.
A good idea for stillness. The idea behind stillness is that when you watch a amateur speaker and you just look at their physical body and make the pen at their physical body, you'll notice that they're not grounded, they're not anchored, they're not still. And so one of the very first things you have to do is not teach them how to speak. You have to teach them how to be present in their body.
Yes.
They can take a breath, relax their energy in their body. Don't even think about speaking. No. Don't worry about speaking yet. Just get the instrument, the body that does the speaking, under your conscious control. And the only way that you can get your body under your conscious control is that if you can control the timing of your speaking. If you can control the timing of your speaking, then you have a pause over there. There's a pause over there. A pause between the sounds that you're making. Good morning. There's a pause between there. And so that pause is a sign of stillness. So when you pause, things become still. And then you speak, then they become still. So in the beginning, what you want to do with a public speaker is to get them to get their body under their control, ground their feet, get their breathing under their control. Because most people don't think about breathing when they are speaking. They're thinking about speaking, not thinking about breathing. And the only way you can think about breathing if you have a thought inside your head, Alan, I want you to take a breath right now between the two sounds that you're speaking with Mark. And if I don't have that thought, then I'm not going to be able to consciously breathe. And breathing is the key to being mindful, because you have to be present when you breathe. You can't concentrate on breathing. You can't take a breath right now and ground your feet and take a breath and think about dinner at the same time. So you're able to disconnect from the thoughts inside your head and reconnect to your body. And that's called embodiment. And most people are disembodied. They're up there with their thoughts of what they want to say and talk. They don't stop and then ground themselves.
I totally understand what you're saying. And I think being present, not only for speaking, any kind of business meetings, any kind of sales, any kind of relationships, it takes being present. It's such an important thing to stay present. And you talked about the power of pause in speaking. When you use the power of a pause, it can really make the communication so much more effective, so much more loud. The pause makes it so much more powerful. And I tell you who was really great at the power of pause when he used to do speeches. President Obama used the power of pauses in his speeches. It's really, really effective. So, Alan, describe what a mindful, conscious speaker is.
Sure. The basic premise of a mindful, spacious speaker is that mindfulness exists. The concept of mindfulness exists, and it exists in two places. So this is the thought that you're thinking inside your head. So there's a space on the other side of the thought that you're thinking inside your head. Most people, they spend their entire life just one stream of thought passing through their head from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed at night. One continuous stream of thought. They don't realize that there's a space on the other side of the thoughts that they think. Now, the challenge with that is that you can't begin to create spaces and gaps between the thoughts that you think. That takes practice. But, Mark, you can create spaces between the thoughts that you speak. And the thoughts that you speak just a second ago were the thoughts that you were thinking. And if I can disrupt the flow of thoughts that I'm speaking, it begins to tell the thoughts that I'm thinking, whoa, Something's going on here. Something's interfering with my normal pattern of speaking here. Wait a minute. And you begin to wake up. You didn't know you were asleep until you begin to pause.
Yes, going back to the present side of things.
You wake up into the present moment. Exactly. So mindfulness not only exists between the thoughts that you think, mindfulness exists between the words that you speak. And if you can get control of that, it will transform not only your ability to speak, but it will transform your whole experience of life. Because when you have a space between the sound that you just spoke and the next sound, you have time to think about what are the consequences, what are the results I'm going to get if I decide to make those sounds.
Yes.
And you realize that there's two choices. You can either make sounds that make the flowers grow in your reality, or you can make the sounds that make the flowers die in your reality. That's
Yes.
the power of the vibration of your speaking. So you want to increase your love statistic and decrease your ego statistic, because you want to speak for the benefit of everyone, not just for the benefit of your own ego.
Because people do really speak before they think, and words do create. So words have power. It's really important we think about the thoughts and the words that we speak, and having the space there creates that time to really be more mindful. What are the benefits to practicing being a conscious, mindful speaker?
Benefits. First benefit is that you get control of your mind. You get control of a switch inside your mind, and you don't even know there's a switch there. It's like it only has two controls. There's on and it's off. And you have control of that switch, and that switch is your timing switch. I call it a command override switch, because now I can give directions to my body. Before I couldn't, because I was automatically speaking about whatever I was speaking about. I wasn't thinking about pausing to create a space that allows me to be present, that allows me to get control of my body. So I get now control of my body, which is the instrument that does the speaking. So pausing, mindfulness, allows you to get control of the instrument that does the speaking. And it will change your ability to speak, because you're now able to speak what you want to speak, but the instrument is in a state of relaxation. You're not agitated and nervous, because that constricts the flow of energy. You are able to utilize the pause to relax. You're able to utilize the pause to breathe. You're able to utilize the pause to think about how you want to formulate and what you want to say next. You can begin to use that pause for access creation, access new ideas that you didn't even think about before. But that's in that empty space. And so there's just a confidence. People talk about confidence. Confidence, when you're present, you're confident. And so just getting yourself present, you'll be more confident. And then in the training programs, we teach them how to become present, what tools you can use in order to ground your body, in order to be able to breathe properly, in order to think on your feet, where to move your body, how long do you hold the images that you're going to send. So all this, the quality of your performing of your thought gets better and better and better the more present you become.
I liked what you said as well around speaking from the heart, or speaking from love rather than speaking from ego, because all too often in business it is very ego driven at times, and that is not a good thing. If people come from love and from the heart, that is just a better place to come from, isn't it, Alan?
Absolutely. If you have a choice between flowers growing in the heart world, I would choose coming from the heart. But the problem is that unless you're able to get control of the thoughts that you're thinking, because the definition of an ego, it's the stream of thoughts that you're thinking. your cognitive identity is the stream of thoughts that you're thinking, and that is also labeled the ego. And you can't step out of the thoughts that you are thinking because you don't even know you're in the thoughts that you're thinking in order to step out of the thoughts that you're thinking until you begin to meditate, until you begin to close your eyes, until you begin to ground and center your body. And that's what's so wonderful about mindful spaces speaking is that I don't have to worry about getting control of my mental thoughts because I can make it happen by controlling the thoughts that I speak, the timing of my delivery. And that will be a tremendous boon because you realize that either you are coming from a loving place in your reality, or you're coming from an egoic place in your reality. And
or
if you
fear as well.
What?
Or fear as well.
Fear, it's fear thoughts. You have the fear of thought that something terrible is going to happen. However, when you become present and mindful, there is no fear. There's nothing to be afraid of because you're beginning to manage your thoughts. And if you can manage your thoughts, you can manage your emotions. And that is because the ego has a lot to do with emotions. People get emotionally upset by things and they lose their stability. They lose their ability to respond rather than react to things. Most people react. They automatically react rather than, wait a minute. Whoo, something's going on here. I got to take a breath. And then relax their bodies before they make judgments, before they make decisions. And most people are automatic. They don't, there's no pausing there.
These are such important skills, Alan, and you do have to acquire these skills by getting yourself into education, learning them. But when you start to implement them, they become second nature, because I know myself, I've done lots of these communication skills, but your results in business, sales, relationships all improve from these simple changes of being more mindful, present, using pauses. I'm not even going to talk about the number one subject I want to talk about today, which so many people lack, which is listening. But we need to go to a commercial break before we can discuss that, Alan. So please stay where you are. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for part one. We're in conversation with Alan Carroll. Are you coming from love or are you coming from the ego? Stay tuned.
Hello everybody, Cyberchuck 2.0 here. I'm so excited to be able to share my vision of Dreamweavers Artist Ranch. They say you can't choose your family. Not only am I saying you can choose your family, you get to thrive with your family here at Dreamweavers Artist Ranch. It's a place for like-minded individuals to come together to share experiences and gain experiences, not only through workshops, through performances, and through exhibits. This is a place where you can disconnect from the outside world and reconnect into a community of people that there is no judgment. There's only support. And this place is an amazing place to grow and to tap into your highest potential and to be able to show off all your talents. This is a place you can come and network and really thrive. I'm so excited for Dreamweavers Artist Ranch. This is a place where dreams actually come true. I love you all so very much. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. We're in conversation with the incredible Alan Carroll. All before the commercial break, we have been discussing being mindful, being present, the power of pausing when we speak. Are we coming from ego? Are we coming from love? Welcome back, Alan. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So my next question, Alan, if we want to build the muscle of being mindful, conscious, How easy is it to practice and build that muscle?
Practice. We're talking about the muscle of public speaking. So let's talk about that muscle. How can you practice the muscle of public speaking? What I would recommend is get yourself a mirror and put the mirror in front of your desk. And so you can look at yourself. And when you look at yourself in front of the mirror, begin to take any sentence you want. You can make up any series of things that you want. And one of the ones that I like is that a student gave us is, I can speak when I want to speak, and I can stop when I want to stop. So I would look at myself in the mirror. I would get my body absolutely still. And then I would very slowly, I would say, I am a professional speaker. Why? Because I can speak when I want to speak, and I can stop when I want to stop. And do that sentence, keeping your body relaxed with the pauses between it. Do that 5 times a day. And that will begin to train the body to become aware of there's a space between the sounds that you make that you've never experienced before. And when you can have one leg in that empty space and the other leg in the sounds, you're now balanced. It's like riding the wave. You're now balanced. Most people are out of balance. And I'm a Tao person of the Tao, and the yang, the yin, the yang energy. The yang would be the speaking, the talking, the fire, the ectar, boom, boom, boom. And the yin energy is the breathing, is the pausing, is the listening, is the relaxation. And so when you're watching a professional speaker, you see they have great delivery of the yang energy, but at the same time, they're able to settle things down. And so it's more enjoyable listening to somebody who has more of a balance in the way they speak. It's more enjoyable, becomes still.
And it's all coming back to awareness again, being present, which allows us to better control the conversations that we are having. Now, thoughts, opinions, and emotions. Some people struggle to manage their thoughts, their opinions, their emotions. Do you have any tips, any guidance to better control our thoughts, opinions, and emotions?
Well, we're going to say your thoughts, your opinions, and your emotions are all sort of the same thing. They're things in the space. Thought is a thing in the space. My opinion is a thing in the space. My emotion is a thing in the space. It's there for a period of time, and then it fades away. It comes from the empty space. It goes back to the empty space. So the more time you spend on creating space, pause, breathing creates a space. The more time during the day you consciously create spaces, you become more spacious. And when you become more spacious, you no longer resist things like you resisted before. There's now spaces, there's holes now in the fabric of your ego, because you've been putting spaces in there consciously between the words that you speak and breathing and meditation. So when these issues come up, there's no more, the resistance has gone down. And so the fire of the resistance, the fire of the emotion, the fire of the yang energy, the fire that I need to be, all that is dissipated. And so you can still have the fire, but no one gets burned. And what happens is people are out of control with the fire of their speaking, and people get burned. They burn themselves. They burn themselves with their anger, and they burn themselves getting angry at somebody else. And then they react, and they get angry at you, and all that disappear. If you realize that you're not those gasoline thoughts inside your head, you are the space, the love. And now there needs to be healing. You now need to heal. You have to surrender. You have to be more flexible. You have to breathe. You have to let go of these thoughts. You still got them, but they're not here. They're over here. I can see them now. I can manage them. If I can't see them, I can't manage them. Most people can't see their thoughts because they are their thoughts. They are their emotions. So meditation, Mark, is absolutely one of the paths that I would encourage everybody. I don't care what the form of meditation is. Just close your eyes. Try to keep your body still for 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes. Give that a shot. See what happens.
It makes such a big difference. And another word you use there is resistance. And so many people are being held back through resistance. And I want to just touch on as well briefly nerves when speaking, because it's one of the biggest fears people say. I know how nervous I used to get when I used to start speaking. I was a bag of nerves, and it's all those old self-beliefs of getting up and people laughing at you, and all to do with insecurities that you have to overcome. Let's talk about nerves when speaking, because it is a big, big thing, isn't it, Alan?
Well, the saying is, if you go to the dictionary and you look up the word fear, often the number one or number two fear people have is the fear of public speaking. Because what happens is you're putting yourself to view. People can now see you, and now you're afraid that this is going to happen, and you're going to be judged and evaluated, and that is not an experience that my ego wants. And so 95% of the people don't even publicly speak because there's a fear of something terrible is going to happen. And so you have to be able to have courage. And that's what I said with the mirror. See, when you're speaking to the mirror, you're not speaking to anybody other than yourself. And if you can anchor yourself and practice pausing and breathing, what you'll notice is that it calms the nerves. Things get calmer and calmer and calmer. And I tell public speakers is that the hardest part of public speaking is getting the data. You spend years learning the data and the thoughts you're going to speak. And that's the hard part. It's really pretty easy to pause. Not hard.
Practice makes perfect as well. Practice until you can't go wrong. And I like how you say practice in the mirror, because you're just there with yourself to get used to it. And in my experience as well, I started talking to just a couple of people, then the crowd got bigger. You don't have to go and speak to 1,000 people on your first speech. If you do, you will feel great after you have done that, because I think every time you speak, all those fears that you had, you realize no one's going to laugh at you, no one's going to boo you, and you get more confident every time you get up and speak. And lastly, what I would like to talk about, Alan, because I notice a lot of people lack the skill of listening. And when you listen, it really helps to build great relationships, building connection. And so many people like to talk, but they forget to listen. What's your experience with this?
The idea of listening is rare. The idea of speaking from my point of view is very strong. People like to hear themselves speak. They want to talk rather than listening. And for me, to be a professional listener is a letting go of your opinion about what you think is going on here. Everybody sees their reality, and they paint their opinion about this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, I like that, I don't like that. They immediately paint their interpretation of how they view it. Yes. Now, the other person on the other side, they're painting a different interpretation of it. They don't see it the way you see it, and the ego wants to defend the way that I see it. So they're wrong and I'm right, and I'm not going to listen to you because you're wrong, and I'm not going to allow your communication to exist within my reality. I won't allow it. Well, the problem there is they have the words mixed up. It's not allowing. They think that if they allow the other person's communication, meaning that I listen and recreate what they had to say, then I agree with it. And allowing is not agreeing. Allowing is simply, I have the ability, I have the skill, regardless of what you say, I have the ability to be able to repeat it back to you in a way that you say, Alan, that's exactly what I said. And I don't have to agree with it. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with it. But I have that ego flexibility to be able to move to the different points of view around the circle because I don't take it personally. And that's another issue that we can talk about, but most people take what other people say personally. And so they immediately get into a defending mode because they're not able to realize it has nothing to do with them personally. It has to do with the way they're painting it in their reality based on their conditioning, the way they were raised. It had nothing to do with you. And so listening is a gift.
Yes, I agree totally. I have done lots of work on listening. I used to butt in a lot, and I used to think I was a great communicator. And then I did some work on listening and realized my communication skills wasn't as good as I thought they were. Listening is so important to build relationships, to build connection, and to really show interest in others. It doesn't always have to be about how great I am. Listen to others. It's such an important skill to build great connection. Alan, I could talk to you all day about communication. It's a real interest of mine. I know you are offering public or corporate classes. Tell the audience a little bit about that so they know what you're offering there. I'm sure they get a great idea from what we have discussed on today's show. And I'd like to encourage everyone to register for one of Alan's classes. If you have enjoyed what we have spoken about today, you will gain so much in public speaking, communication, getting results. But you just tell us a little bit about it, Alan.
Well, we talked about the word practice, and the image that comes to my mind is a gymnasium. And so you're going to come to a gymnasium. It's about 20 hours of time. It's either virtual or live, and you're practicing the tools of mindfulness. Day one of the workshop will be the grounding. You'll be becoming grounded and remember I talked about people that want to become still. Day two, you integrate the thoughts that you want to now speak with the instrument that you now have control. We call that synthesizing the day. We do an exercise called stillness, where you actually get yourself into a state of stillness. And out of that comes to speaking. Everything is videotaped. So you can actually watch the transformation from the beginning when you're out of control till the end on the third day when you perform your thoughts again. And all of a sudden, I now have control of my body. I now have control of my breathing. I now have control of the timing. I now have control of keeping my body relaxed. And so for 3 days, we coach you on how to get your body, the instrument, under your control so that when you speak, you sound like a professional when you speak. There's no ahs or ums and the body's not shaking and nervous. And everything's now under your control.
And 3 days is incredible to gain all this knowledge and skills that are going to go on and support you for years and years to come. I would encourage everyone to go to Alan's website, acamindfulyou.com. That's acamindfulyou.com. Go to the website acamindfulyou.com and register for public or corporate classes. Alan, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Mark, thank you. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Brilliance Business TV. We have been in conversation with the incredible Alan Carroll. We have discussed the power of the pause, being still, being aware, coming from love and not ego. We have discussed the importance of listening. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. Until next time, bye for now.